Hello. Welcome back to Down the Rabbit Hole. Today we're going to be talking about an urban legend that takes place in Gadsden, Alabama. Now, Gadsden is a really pretty place. Not gonna lie. But if you're new here, hit that like button, ring that bell for notifications. Also, please subscribe, help a girl out. So Down the Rabbit Hole is it's my sister podcast to True Crime Lounge, Sassy Sunbelle, Just a Breezy Chat, and Dark Academia Queen. So it kind of go touches both with True Crime Lounge and Dark Academia Queen, but we do a lot more history based urban legends and myths on this podcast, as well as some historical figures as well. Like I said, history based. I'm a history nut, so you'll have to understand that completely. So I hope you understand that. But anyway, today we're going to be talking about an urban legend. Like as I said earlier, this is called The Witch in the Woods, and this takes place in Gadsden, Alabama. Now, this urban legend was a little harder to find information on, so I'm going based off the information I have found. So it might be a shorter episode than what you're expecting, but you're probably thinking, yes, I don't have to hear her talk this whole time. But apparently, if you walk along the wooded Hines Road in Gaston, you will likely run across a woman who is said to have sold her soul to the devil. And now, this is according to hauntedplace.org. And legend says the woman was a witch who lived in Shack Deep and the woods, and her evil soul still lingers and is frightened the devil out of the good folk of Alabama. So, as most of you know, I am from Alabama, born and raised. An Alabama fan, Auburn fan, or Eagle. I will never say those words you're expecting me to say. I can't bring myself to do it. But here's the thing. I hate Alabama, the football team, but I do respect Saban as a coach. And I do not think that Alabama's going to have a good season this season because this is a transition and rebuilding year for them. But anyway, back to the episode. Isn't that why you clicked on it, of course? But anyway, the story goes of an old witch woman who lived at the bottom of a hollow, or holler, in the local vernacular in the shack by a pond. She used to kidnap children from town, tie their hands and their feet, and kind of lure them and throw them into the pond as sacrifices. She used her sorcery to conjure the huge black dogs to guard her property. Where, when the people of the town had finally had enough to track down her, setting the shack afire and burning her alive. The hellbound must have been sleeping on the job that day, because her evil spirit remained, as did the dog, and her haunting in the area has been there ever since. Now, of course, none of that ever happened, and it's pure folklore. Let's go ahead and remember that. Um, but the infamous pond where the witch used to drown the children, according to legend, um, now that is, in doing some digging, it seems the house is located on the site where an old woman lived alone. Um, Probably after her husband died. So she wasn't a witch, just a nice old lady. She did, it seems, to have a black dog, but it was hardly conjured by an internal realm. And her husband, deep down at some point after the lady died, but it wasn't an act of vigilant justice carried out by bereaved parents of the murdered children. The irony is that Freddy Krueger is a child murderer who was burned alive by bereaved parents of his victims and isn't lost on anyone. Now, considering that, um, there's many things to consider, such as making a trip to watch Freddy the movie as well, and everything else, and where a supposed witch has supposedly committed the exact same crimes of which the movies were guilty of. Hmm. Could this be a very interesting dollop into serendipity? Maybe? Anyway, the fact that there was never a witch or a hellbound, hasn't stopped numerous people from seeing them throughout the years. Yeah. There are also those who claim to have been chased by shaggy phantom beasts with glowing red eyes, and to have the bodies of children floating in the pond. Has a communal belief in something that has never been existed and brought into existence. Here's the question: what does the human perception really see? Honestly, do we honestly think that this what folklore is actually real? But they do say there is some things based on actual evidence, scientific evidence at the same time. But I love this kind of folklore. This is kind of stuff you would tell in the woods. Do y'all know what I mean? But yes. So anyway, that is it for this episode of Down the Rabbit Hole. What is a folk and urban legend you want me to talk about? I do plan on talking about many things such as the Crazy George Bridge, the Denver State Mental Hospital, the Bell Witch Cave, and many more. Now, I may have been born and raised in Alabama, but I do live here in Tennessee now, and I have been looking at some urban legends to go for Tennessee here. But that's it for today's episode. I will see y'all next time. Y'all have a cool day. I know it's hot out there, so try and stay warm.